Okay, today's workshop is for ADHD, how it impacts learning, and how we can help our kids with this. Um, a few quick things to review up front. If you are new here, I'm Dr. Emily, and I do these workshops the first Friday of every month. So the first like 40-ish minutes is going to be me teaching strategies, going through some slides, some research, some ideas. I am assuming that everybody here either has a kid diagnosed with ADHD or twice exceptionality and ADHD is in the mix. So we're gonna go pretty quickly into strategies and not cover too much about like what is ADHD, but I'll give a brief overview. I'm gonna mute you all and then you can unmute for the Q&A. That just helps with background noise. And um, and if you have a question, you're worried you're going to forget, just drop it in the chat and I will go through the chat when we get to Q&A as well. So the link for the replay, if you registered just for this workshop, you'll get that in an email and there'll be a coupon code for you to enter to access it because you've already registered. And then if you're a paid subscriber on Substack, you just go to the workshop tab and all of the workshops are there. And if you're a paid subscriber, they'll all be unlocked. So for anyone who's not a paid subscriber on Substack, there is a discount if you subscribe over there for workshops. If you're interested in coming to more than one, it's just a little bit more cost effective. But that's the link down there for anyone who's just registered for this actual workshop. But check your email for the coupon code because you've already registered. Okay, so a little bit more about me if you are new here. So I am trained as a school psychologist. I was a school psychologist first in my career for about 5 years, and then I've been a child psychologist in private practice for about the last 15 years. Over that time, I've worked with hundreds of neurodivergent kids and teens, and then I also, in that time, became a parent to neurodivergent kids myself. So I currently have a sixth grader and a 12th grader in public school with support here in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where I physically am located. I'm also writing a book called The Neurodivergent Learner that will be out next year. And some of this information, will be in the book, but much more expanded in the book. So I'll let you know when I'm talking about something that I'm diving in even deeper because you can only cover so much in an hour. So as you know, if you are here, neurodivergent usually indicates there's some asynchronous development going on. There might be strengths in one area, weaknesses in another area, and that makes it really hard to live in this standardized world we have where everyone follows along with a chronological age expectation of what you're supposed to be able to do when you're 5 and 10 and 15. And these are the diagnoses that usually fall under the term neurodivergence, which is ADHD, autism, LD, and then giftedness or twice exceptionality. So giftedness and one of the other types of diagnoses. But at the end of the day, we're just looking at this asynchronous development and figuring out what skills our kid has and what they need support on. I love this slide for ADHD. This is talking about just ADHD storytelling, and this is just a meme from social media, but it's so true that there's so many things going on in an ADHD kid and person's brain, and we can't see all of the things going on. This is just an example of how they may tell a story and all the things that might be running through their mind. And so I use this slide to help educators and parents understand the amount of energy it takes to control impulses, not to maybe say all these things or do all these things, and control attention spans when all of this is what's happening internally. So it just gives us a good foundation of compassion too around all the effort that our kids are putting into listening and working and doing multi-step tasks. So as we know, ADHD has 3 different types. Combined type is, someone said that's exactly how my son tells a story. Yep. That one's always really familiar to everyone. So we'll start with combined type because that covers everything. And with combined type, we of course when a child has an attention hyperactivity and impulsivity. And these are, these are characteristics that it reaches a diagnostic threshold when it's impacting a kid's life, when these symptoms are happening beyond what we would expect for their chronological age or despite having supports in place. And often these kids have a need for instant gratification. Like they really struggle to think more than one step down the road and more than past just this moment. So that need for instant gratification could look emotional, it could look academic, it could, have something to do with, them refusing to do it unless it's fun. So those are some of the things you may notice. They often have a high need for movement. So when we're thinking about what works best, the two things to start thinking about are how can you visualize work systems, because that's going to support the weaknesses and attention span. And then how can you use natural consequences for when you're trying to lead them into better behavioral